Okay, I just want to put together a quick video on how to put some textures onto your off-track mask. This could probably work for your on-track mask, but it takes a little more work, I think. So we'll just do it to the off-track for simplicity and start from there. So if you have your off-track mask already, it's just going to be a black and white picture or image of your track with the off-track being in white. So we'll start with that. The second thing you're going to want to do is go find your texture images that you would like to use. Anything could work, theoretically. You just have to play around with it. I found a couple images that look good, I think, and we're going to start with these. So even if they're not seamless, there is a method to taking these and getting them to a point that might be reusable. So let's take these two images, let's migrate them to a seamless version. There's a website here called imgonline.com, and they have a tool called Make Seamless Texture. Anyway, this is what we're going to use. So a couple things to note. They have some really good examples here. I like to use the grass for that image that you saw earlier. I like to use this method number 4B for the ones that kind of have different direction, if you will, like lines going in different directions. If something's a little bit more consistent, I think this might be a better setting, the number 3. So once we get through these, it'll kind of make a little more sense. But I'm just going to grab one that I started with. Let's go to the texture examples folder. Here is, I can see over here in this preview pane, this is the one that I was kind of talking about, kind of goes in different directions. Now you may look at that and go, that's going to be difficult to make seamless, and you're probably right. But this tool works great. So we'll choose that. We're going to choose number 4B, preferably for grass in this case. For my example, I found that 20 on the intensity worked pretty well. Or actually, I think it was 10. It's 10 for the intensity, 20 for the radius, and I like to start with the PNG. So we'll hit OK. We're going to let that load. Maybe I'll pause the video and come back. But it takes a few minutes, not even. Did I say minutes? I meant seconds. Okay, so you can see comes back, gives you a little information. What I think is always kind of interesting is it sort of adds some detail to the image when you choose that one, so that it's actually increased in size now. We can even check it from this. So if we just click this, we'll do a quick check. That looks okay. I'm going to keep it. I'm not really too worried about it. I'll show you why once we get to the Photoshop side. So we'll keep that. I'm just going to click download process texture, and we have it downloaded. I'm going to go back. I'm going to take the other one. Again, these you don't need to do. You can choose however many you want to do. I think what's good is to maybe have some with random patterns and then ones that you might use in a straight pattern, like a tread going from a garage to a jump or something like that. You could do that. So for this example, you could select that image that I have here. We're going to do smooth copies of all sides. And then I'm just going to leave it at 10 and 20 again. I think that works pretty well for these two examples. Again, you're just going to have to play with those, see what works well for your samples. And then tile to check texture seamlessness. So again, I think it works great. You can see here, one tile placed on a 2x2 grid looks fantastic. So I'm going to back out. I'm going to download this one again. Okay. So we've got those two files downloaded. Let's go ahead and open them. From here, we're just going to take these and create patterns with them. So for this one, I'm going to click over here to create a pattern. And we're going to call this one, I called this one earlier, treads with footprints. I'm going to call this one treads turning. Okay. From here, we've got our off-track mask. So we don't want to just fill up the whole thing because we don't want the track to be involved. So we're going to use a layer mask for that. Layer masks are pretty easy to do. And we'll get into that in just a second. But I think the first thing we'll do is go ahead and fill up a layer with our tread pattern. So I got this tread pattern here. I'm going to select a new layer that's completely blank, and we're going to make sure you have it selected. We're going to fill it, okay? Click fill pattern, and then we're going to do the pattern with the random treads. We're going to close that. You don't want to miss this step. I almost did. You're going to click this. There's a couple of different options you have. Random fill is one that you could try. That one I didn't like as much because I had to continue to random fill over and over and over to get the background to fill in. Not my favorite. I experimented with a few things. I liked symmetry fill. So if we hit symmetry fill and we look at it, it's actually got my settings saved from earlier. So with what I chose, this pattern scale works pretty well. You want to turn your color randomness and your brightness randomness down. That's going to make each individual pattern look a little different or brighter if you have that on, so turn that down. And then these, you just play around with it. I'm not exactly sure what it's changing, but I just kind of left them at -100. I liked it. And then you've got 0.77. So we'll just hit OK. Let it fill up. Okay, so we have our layer, but it's covering everything. So we want to leave this alone. Or I'm sorry, we want to mask it now. So the way that you mask it is you're going to select the layer that you want to use as your mask. And then we'll just do Control A. We're going to copy it. Okay. And then we're going to go to the layer that has the pattern, and we're going to select this add new layer mask. It's going to create this box. We'll go down to channels. We're going to turn all of these off. I don't know if you have to turn these off, but I know you have to have that selected. Control A, make sure you have this layer mask selected, and then Control V. Oop. Yes, I'm sorry, Control V. And I may have not entirely, okay. Sometimes if I don't paste in place, I don't see it working quite the way I expected. So you can see now we've got our pattern placed. Looks pretty good, I think. Now, I think that's going to be fine for just kind of having random patterns. Now, I didn't mention this at the beginning, but you want to start with a very high resolution. A lot of people talk about 8K, 4K, 2K. I'm trying 16K for this. This is going to give you a lot of detail, but it's going to bring down the performance. So you have to experiment with it. If you have a big track, it may be better to use 16K. Smaller track might not be necessary, but I'm finding I get a lot of detail using a 16K mask. Okay, so we've got that filled in. Now let's do the treads that go in a certain direction. So I'm just going to grab our pen over here and start creating this. I think I have my garage from over here. I don't know really, but I'm just going to create a random pattern. I'm going to have it kind of swoop in here. It's going to do some business. Again, in my mind, I'm just pretending this is a bulldozer. This is where it's driving around, moving stuff. You can put it anywhere you want, really. You know, I'm not sure if some of these that kind of overlap are going to work well. So, you know, you can try it and see what happens. But yeah, this is just what I've found to work so far. Yeah, so that doesn't look that good. Okay, that's better. Let's kind of keep things going. And you just add as many as you can or you want. It's going to look fine if you just kind of have it random, crossing on occasion. Okay. And then I know my garage is back here, so I'll just have the trails come to the back. Or actually, I know it's right here. This is where I've actually parked the skid. So we'll put that there just to see if that looks good. Okay, so I've got this pattern. I'm just going to add a little curve to that one. That way I can kind of bend that like the straight one. Cool. So we've got our path. Looks good, right? I think so. We'll go back to our layers here. So again, I just want to modify this one with the mask because I don't want to paint onto the track. I just want these treads to go onto the off track. So we've got the layer selected. I've got Control A, you know, everything's highlighted. I'll do another fill pattern. This time, instead of doing symmetry fill, I'm going to grab our tread pattern and I'm going to do place along path. And then again, this is what I've found to work for me, and you just have to play with it. Choose no color randomness, no brightness. The angle from path and distance from path, you can just play with that as well, but this is kind of how it's going to look. It's hard to see. My pattern also is quite large, so I had to really scale it down to get it to work. And then spacing at 0 is kind of what I found to work the best. If you kind of want some more overlap with your texture, maybe bring the spacing down into the negative some more. If you want it to space out for some reason and have little gaps like I'll just show you real fast like that, then you move it there. But just do 0 to start with and see what that gets you. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Okay, zoom in. And I think personally, I can live with that. Like maybe some perfectionists out there might not like that, but that looks like some good tread patterns to me. Kind of have some dirt that looks messy, but clean. I'm not sure how to explain it. Next step is we want to actually create the mask for this. So you can keep your path. I'm just going to click off to get rid of it. You can see the treads look pretty nice if you ask me. We'll go here and we're going to go ahead and create an alpha mask. Okay. Back on our layers, I want to select this. I'm going to go Control A, Control C. So I've selected everything here that you see, but once we paste it into the alpha mask, oops, you know what I forgot? To highlight both layers. Nope. Let me back up. Let's delete this alpha channel real fast. Okay, it's fine. Well, we have everything just kind of chilling here. RGB is selected. So what we're going to do is I just want to zoom out, make sure I have the marching ants going around the whole document, which is perfect. Want all of these selected. And we're just going to hit this to select everything. And then we're going to hit load it as an alpha channel. Cool. So we have our alpha channel. But if I look at this, I think it's going to be too gray. There's not going to be enough detail. Now it depends too on, I guess, how much your textures vary in color. The white and grays could work out, but mine, I don't know. For some reason, this is just too gray. So I'm going to go up here to adjustments and go to levels. And what I've found is you can click auto if you want. Kind of gives you a little starting point, but in this case, all it did was move this down to 195. I like to bring my blacks up right to where this kind of ramps up real fast. And then from there, say maybe right there, and you can even go even further in. Look, that's pretty good right there, I think. It's pretty black. But I think we're still missing too much white. So let's go ahead and bring this white in. I think where I was landing was about 90 and 110 is what I liked to see. So we'll hit that. That's good. Okay. We'll hit OK. And then save this. We'll zoom in and look. So looking closely at this detail, you can see it's pretty good. Details are pretty high. Even though this looks a little pixelated, we can fix that too. So I like it. I'm going to kind of live with that for now. I don't even think I'm going to worry about blurring it because as I zoom out, I kind of like it. I think it's fine. Some people might want to blur it to get these patterns in, or get these patterns to blend a little bit more. We can try it. Just see what a little Gaussian blur looks like here. So I like to zoom in kind of where there's a little detail here. And then 0.7 is usually pretty good. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, 0.7. We'll live with that. That's pretty good. So again, I think this looks great. You got your whites, they're very white, and you got your blacks, they're very black. That's kind of what you're looking for. You can have some gray in between, but too much gray, and you're just not going to see any detail. So we'll zoom out. We're going to keep this. Now I'm going to save this copy as a Targa. And then I've actually got mine kind of all spaced out here. Falcon Park is just an example that I was using. And then I'm just going to do textures example copy. Save that. And if I go with the textures example copy, right to project file, build all. Oh, while that's building, take a look here, and you'll be able to see the difference in my colors. Oops. Hopefully I didn't lose too much audio there. And here's our result. So pay no mind to my ugly track, but if we just kind of look and see, we got some tire treads popping through. And I think it looks pretty good. Zoom over to one of the spots where we had a lot of them in one go. It's not too bad. I probably could figure out some stuff that might make it a little smoother, a little less jitter or something. I'm not really sure, but it could really just be how that pattern works. There's probably not a lot of ways to correct that. So if you have a good pattern for this kind of stuff, use it. But that's where we have it.